Welcome to Let's Go Back, episode 3. Tonight we're going to be going straight into it. I'm Hamrat. Love you to click subscribe if you like what you see.
Alright, listen up. Private Martin,
Call of Duty. Who knew that this one war game that we played and loved was going to become one of the biggest franchises and stories out there today? I remember when we first played this, I was like, wow. It was like, we're playing a war game and no one knew what was next.
Move on to the next area.
After saving Private Ryan and you got to find out that you're doing the D-Day invasion on Normandy, the excitement levels of the game went through the roof. But the question was, as great it was back then, does it still hold out now? When I first loaded this up, I'm like, oh yeah, this would be great. And then the first thing that kicked me was, well, the graphics aren't too bad still. And it was a 2003 game. And after about 30 minutes, it was just like repetitive shooting. And I think with all the games that we play nowadays and the graphics, my brain slowly started to adjust again back to this. And I really started to enjoy it. And then what made it worse was I was trying to do decent recordings so I could create this episode, and I started dying. And I was dying a lot, and I was actually starting to struggle to get through some levels. And I can be bold and say this was the biggest game of 2003 that came out. And then there was like a war with EA and Activision with who's going to do the better game for Medal of Honor or Call of Duty. So every couple of years, you had a major war game coming out, and they were just trying to beat each other as they go, from Normandy invasions to the proper D-Day landings to getting to play in Russia with a sniper, which was a great time for us as graphics were getting better and war games were getting more realistic and very graphic. But there's one thing Call of Duty did that the others didn't think of. They had their main war stories, but then they started a story. They had it with characters. Now, the original Captain Price is in this Call of Duty and Call of Duty 2. And then by Modern Warfare 2, they started a story and a theme. You had Call of Duty Ghosts, you had the Call of Duty Black Ops series coming out. You even had zombies. Everybody gets zombies. And Captain Price was our hero. He was always defying orders. He was taking the extra step. And you fell in love with the character and the story. As you see, you get to be the hero, you play like Rambo, and it pays off. You get to advance quicker. If you stand back and just pick people off, it will take you hours to get anywhere. And then you get to mow more people down with a machine gun. Check out the roar of this thing. It's like they took the sounds from the real gun, or what you saw in a Hollywood movie at least, and put it in the game. So many things I want to say, but I'm not going to give up the verdict just yet. There was a lot of things that were frustrating with this. There was no graphic spits like you'd expect from a game this old playing on Windows 11. There was no sound hiccups. There was no system crashes. There were sections that seemed to just like drag on that felt like it didn't need to be there. Now, but not back then. Back then, we would have been just all shits and giggles and smiles playing this. And one thing I can say, this game has been non-stop action from the time it started. Yes, I had some stupid deaths and I was a little bit frustrated, but the enjoyment and action is there. But who would have known 20 years ago what would happen? And yes, in October it will be exactly 20 years this year in 2023. But you had a whole series coming out, and the stories just went more and more deeper. The enjoyment, the action, the graphics, everything was just spot on with this series. Other games had come and gone, but Call of Duty, you can see how many they had. And then, let's do reboots. Let's take Call of Duty to the next level, and it did. So what is the verdict? Call of Duty 1, action, excitement, humour, dying a lot, suspense, frustration, which I was surprised about. A game that old would not think would be this hard still for experienced first-person players. If you can get past the first, say, 20 minutes of the game, you will love this playing it again. I'm Hamrat. Thanks for watching. We're going to be back next week with episode 4 I'd love you to hit the subscribe button, and remember, put notifications on so you can see when our new videos come out. Bye for now. I'll see you again soon.